Hello, everyone, and welcome back on Women Dialogues, the world first channel dedicated to talk all about women and by women. And I'm your host, Shashi, with you all with new energy, new learning, and with a new episode on Women Dialogue series. And thank you, all of you who like and come back each single time to watch, to listen, to learn, and to grow. In this journey, I try to find out real voices and real stories who can shape our knowledge, who can shape our mind and future, who can bring us insight and inspiration. And today's our guest is Carolina, who is joining us from Bangalore, India. She is joining us to fill you with energy, to motivate, to becoming you. Yes, that's exactly what she does. She is an excellent motivator, speaker, meditation expert, and entrepreneur. And she wrote her book, Becoming You. So, welcome, Carolina, on this platform.
Thank you, Dr. Shashi. It's an honor to be sharing and co-creating space with you. I love what you're doing, and I am very directionally aligned with the mission to not just inspire, but to encourage people to understand their own mission, their own purpose, and to recognize their strengths, their gifts, their talents, and to use that for the benefit of others. So I appreciate everything you're doing and thank you for inviting me into the conversation.
Thank you. I'm so excited to get that energy and motivate myself and our audiences. So, kindly tell us about yourself and your work.
Yeah, so I have a little over 20 years of experience, worked with corporate as a coach, supporting and guiding leaders and intact teams. In between, I started a business, but for the last 6 or 7 years, transitioned out of corporate and started my own coaching business. I'm a certified executive leadership coach, mindfulness practitioner. I use energetic healing in my coaching as well, and I serve and support many different types of audiences. I'm a micro influencer on LinkedIn. I have a huge network out there. And social media has been a reason why we have connected over here today, right?
Yeah.
Apart from that, I started a community 7 years back, the same year that I started my coaching business. It's
Mhm.
called Vibha for Inclusion. We have a very, very active, small but active group of women entrepreneurs where they can engage in safe space, conversation, meet like-minded people. And we have opened it up. It's no more just women. It's inclusive.
Mhm. Right.
I've been awarded as an inclusion champion for the work I do on
Mhm.
several mentoring platforms.
Yeah.
So I mentor women. I believe that being a woman, having her own struggles
Mhm.
and things that I went through, and that's
Mhm.
what my book is all about. I think that when we do things like this, like what you're doing and what I'm doing, we start to understand our own capability, but we also start to understand that having a
Mhm.
strong support system, a
Mhm.
strong guidance with other women and with other humans is important
Mhm.
for our growth as well. So
Mhm.
that's, in a nutshell about me. And I love what I do.
Yeah, that's super amazing, and definitely, as I can feel little spark of getting motivation myself when you started talking about all, and I'm looking forward to have our conversation and to get that similar spark in our audience as well. So, and why you thought to work in this field and how you made it possible.
So I've always been in the coaching field, came from a health background. I've always enjoyed and found meaning in supporting others. But also, life experiences have taught me that being alone is not really a very good way to progress. And a lot of times as
Mhm.
women, we might feel like this. We might feel hesitant to speak up, find our voice. search for
Mm-hmm.
connections, and all these are necessary, whether we are job seekers, whether we are in a leadership role, or whether we, are part of a startup running a business. We
Yeah.
do need support. We do need the right resources. But more
Mm-hmm.
importantly, we need a mindset of resourcefulness.
Yeah.
And all this, all the work that I do for other clients, the network that I have, active network on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, the book that I have with 5 other humans,
Mm-hmm.
has continues to show me that, when we show up for life, life starts to flow through us, and good things can happen. But
Mm-hmm.
being passive around our life doesn't make it happen. We have to
Yeah.
show up. We have to, and this doesn't mean, a lot of times, I think, especially for women, we find it
Mm-hmm.
very difficult to delegate. We find it very
Mm-hmm.
difficult to let go of certain things, maybe
Yeah.
smaller things when we are growing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important. I think it's important to recognize what our strengths are, but also what our weaknesses are. We
Yeah.
can't be good at everything, and we don't need to be good at everything. It's okay
Definitely.
to
Yeah.
rest.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to say, I don't know. Show me how. It's not weak to be like that.
Yeah.
And these are actually strengths to show your
Yes.
vulnerability.
Yeah.
It requires courage. And
Mm-hmm.
these have been some of the life lessons that this lifetime has shown me. And they have been
Mm-hmm.
very rewarding, because every time, I put my ego aside and I say, I need help, or I can't do this, I'm sorry, and I create these boundaries for myself, it actually
Mm-hmm.
works in my favor. So
Mm-hmm.
these have been some of the things
Yeah.
that, continue to inspire me. I
Mm-hmm.
love listening to and watching other women's stories as well. I think each
Right.
woman brings a very rich resource of her own lifetime, to an
Yeah.
experience of sharing her story. And I think
Yeah.
it's important for us to open up and share our stories without shame, without
Mm-hmm.
embarrassment,
Yeah.
in fact, with pride, because we have so much to give when we open up.
That's true. That's true. Exactly. And I think it's a great point you touch about, like, open up and share your, because we have ourselves that feeling, oh, we don't have anything to give, but you never know whom is having the same kind of story or same kind of things, and that way you can even inspire or touch the particular person life, or maybe many more. So that's really very important, and creating a lead to talk further, to share further your stories. And it's like you are doing this unbelievable and great wonder of things. You are founder and CEO of the Purposeful Self Talk. What it is, and how one can connect with your these self talk and all these kind of things.
Yeah, so my company, my erstwhile, because backstage we were talking about another project that I'm working on
Yeah.
with a global team. But my erstwhile coaching company has been about serving corporate leaders, intact teams, to understand very basic things around the human experience, which I think we've forgotten, and we believe is fluff.
Mm-hmm.
Things like trust, things like sharing your story, things like the courage to say, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when we have a title, there's a lot of pressure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To know everything or to do everything, and you're maybe afraid to fail. And these are some of the things that I address with leaders, with teams, through workshops, through coaching. The
Mm-hmm.
name of the company is The Indian Renaissance, TIR Global.
Mm-hmm.
Renaissance, because I integrate a revival of ancient wisdom, ancient techniques,
Wow.
which are largely Indian but also Eastern. So I'm a born Catholic, but I don't practice. I'm not a religious person, but I do study the Bhagavad Gita, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe that there is a lot of wisdom for
Mm-hmm.
humanity from ancient scriptures and ancient practices. I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I forget the percent, but there is a rising number of people who are stressed at work, right? And
Yeah.
stress is a real thing, because something at work you bring home, you won't be able to sleep properly. Or you
Yeah.
might take out your frustration on your family or your partner or
Mm-hmm.
your kids or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And these are all real things. Now,
Mm-hmm.
teaching someone a simple technique of breathing,
Mm-hmm.
deep breathing, breath
Mm-hmm.
work,
Mm-hmm.
is so beneficial and so liberating, because according to ancient Chinese wisdom, and even something that the Vedas teach, is your
Mm-hmm.
energy.
Mm-hmm.
Emotions are energy, right? Your
Yeah.
emotions get trapped in your body, and
Yeah.
unless you know how to release this emotion and
Mm-hmm.
work with your body, you will not
Mm-hmm.
know how to deal with stress.
Right.
So fundamentally, I've just broken it down, at a very high level, but these are the kind of things that I teach. I teach
Mm-hmm.
them to people in their 50s, in their 40s, in their 30s, in their 20s. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I think, these cut across age and gender and all these other barriers that we create as humans, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of research to show that we
Mm-hmm.
don't use enough of our lung space when we breathe.
Mm-hmm.
We use a
Mm-hmm.
very small capacity of the lung space. And
Mm-hmm.
oxygen,
Yeah.
when you breathe, the oxygen is required for your hormones, it's required for removing toxins, it's required for the way your heart functions and all your major organs like your kidneys,
Yeah.
your heart, your liver,
Mm-hmm.
and so many other things. And if you're
Yeah.
sick, and if all these things are not functioning well, it's going to take a
Mm-hmm.
toll on your mind. It's going to take a toll on your vitality,
Mm-hmm.
and your sleep and your focus and your productivity. We've forgotten all these things. It's not
Right.
like we don't know these things. We've forgotten. So what
Yeah.
I do is I facilitate remembering.
Mm-hmm.
One of the basic practices is to just sit quietly, because we can't do that most of
Yeah.
the time. We're on our phone.
Uh-huh.
We have FOMO, we have fear of missing out. We've got to check our phone every 5 minutes. We wake up
Right.
after our sleep. Most
Mm-hmm.
people watching in will go to their phone before saying hello to anyone in the house, and this is a
Mm.
reality. So
Mm.
these basic practices, like switching your phone off, like being in silence and doing some deep breathing exercises, like
Yeah.
stretching your body, like how do you use your laptop? For how long
Mm-hmm.
should you use your laptop when you're working?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These are very, very basic, but these tiny tweaks can
Mm-hmm.
cause such a huge difference in your energy, in your
Yeah.
productivity, in your
Right.
performance, in your focus.
Yeah, I totally agree with your lot of points which you touched, and especially like in current scenario when people are stressed, and I really like that one point which you said. Many times we feel like we are losing and we don't want to be free. And as a mother of two kids, I myself, many times my kids say, "Mom, we are bored." I said, "No, you are not bored. Sit for some time. You should be free, not having all the time this and that. You should just sit and relax." And that's very important because, as you said, a lot of things we get new energy, we regenerate ourselves, we regenerate our ideas, our all, we synchronize our mind, body, and everything. That's very beautiful. But at the same time, since you are working in this field, how when the people are stressed, people are feeling alone, what kind of thing they can include, or having such kind of mindset, how they can do that when we are having in this pandemic scenario and all.
Yeah, so that's a very powerful question. That's a very good question, and one that could probably take a couple of days to answer. I think COVID has exposed our civilization to many
Mm-hmm.
of the fractured systemic challenges that we've
Mm-hmm.
always had, but now
Mm-hmm.
it's staring us in the face. What
Mm-hmm.
I mean is in terms of our health. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, in terms of the way we look at our lives, the choices we
Mm-hmm.
make as it relates to our eating, our sleeping, our relationships, our growth. Is our growth coming from ego or is it coming from spirit? So these are some things in a nutshell that 2020 has shown humanity which side are you on, right? Many
Right.
businesses have shut down, people have been out of jobs, and I also feel that, and I know that it has provided opportunity as well. There are several people who are still working. In fact, they've gotten more business. In fact, they've gotten better in their health through this time. So, what is this showing us? Why is it that some people, through this harsh collective environment, are not able to even survive while others are thriving, right? So it all comes back to what I was saying earlier in this conversation.
Yeah.
There are things that we can practice. There are things that we need to look at redesigning by way of habits and choices, the way we rewire our mindset. And it starts with a willingness to change. It starts with using such an opportunity to say, what is important for me, because these are very existential times, right, where we're looking at people who are losing their lives, losing the lives of their loved ones, and things like, I'm not dismissing it, but things like money, the big house and all the other fancy schmancy things that we'd like to have and to use and things like that. You start to, you really start to question, what is important for me right now?
Yeah.
And so I believe that this is a time that we can use to do two things. One is to honor our body and mind, to take care of ourselves, to understand some of the practices. And even if you're not aware, you can hire a coach, you can go online, do some research, start to
Yeah.
find out how you can reclaim your health and vitality. So that's the first
Yeah.
part of it. Because
Right.
if you're operating from an unhealthy state of mind, you will
Yeah.
never be able to perform at your peak optimal level, right? So
Yeah.
start from
That's so
there.
true.
And the second thing is, you spoke about loneliness, right? And loneliness is very subjective. Like, one person could be sitting somewhere for months together alone and not feel lonely.
Yeah.
And in the same environment, someone might feel like killing themselves because they
Mm.
cannot bear to be alone. And
Yeah.
so I think that there are two things in that piece that I would suggest. One is, start to get comfortable with yourself. Switch off technology every day, at least for about an hour, and start to understand what are some of the distractions that you have been taking on by way of your phone, by way of gossip, by way of
Yeah.
social media, by way
Mm.
of the television, by way of even people around you, to not honor your emotions. Again, we're coming
Yeah.
back to the way you feel in your body.
Yeah.
That's one part. The second is, there are several support groups. Join a community, have conversations, pick up the phone and talk to someone who cares for you. Right? These are some other things that you can do. They will not sustain you because they're still a distraction. You
Yeah.
have to get comfortable being in your body.
Mm.
In my last post on LinkedIn, I shared an affirmation
Mm.
about safety, because a lot of us, have inner child abandonment wounds from our
Mm.
past, and we bring
Yeah.
that as adults into, our life experiences, and they affect us very, very negatively. So saying things like, placing your hand on your heart chakra, because your heart chakra is responsible for connection and relationships. Placing your
Yeah.
hand, taking a deep breath, and just saying, I am safe.
So,
I am safe in this body. I am safe in my body. Another one you could say is, to yourself, maybe looking in the mirror, you could say, I love you, and use your name. I love you, Caroline.
I love this.
I'm proud of you. You are safe in this body. And just breathe. Um, so these are obviously at a very high level, but these are
Yeah.
ways to calm you down, to help you
Yeah.
feel safe, secure in your body. Because safety, psychological safety, emotional security is very important for us to open up. and we won't open up with another
Mm,
person or even with
mm,
ourselves if we don't feel
mm,
safe.
mm. That's powerful. That's like great insight, knowledge, and it's really calming. I can feel myself like the way you did this. I really have that calming and safety feeling, and which we have, but it's like creating those more affirmatively our actions, and
Yeah,
then feeling that's very important. And I'm definitely looking forward to connecting with you after this talk show to learn more about it. So
100%. I look forward to it too.
yeah, so since you are doing since so many years, any special episode or point that made you feel that people need it more than we think of?
So like I said, so I come from a health background. I have seen a lot of death. I have seen illness. I have seen the emotions that surround these events, and they're not pleasurable, right? It's not like
Yeah.
walking to the mall and shopping. They're not
Mm.
surface level.
Yeah.
So I think in a lot of ways, dealing with death, dealing with dying, dealing with families was a huge wake up call for me, but not
Mm.
enough. I think several life experiences taught me to be more grounded in my body, to be more grounded in myself. Like I said, I use the Bhagavad Gita each morning with my meditation and yoga. I
Mm.
also use the book by Jack Canfield.
Mm.
I'm using it for the third year right now. It's 52
Mm.
weeks of affirmations,
Mm.
written by Jack Canfield, who is he's a
Mm.
world famous author who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, right? So
Mm.
these couple of things I do. I stopped doing a lot of voracious reading a couple of years ago. I read very mindfully. I read very slowly,
Mm.
and I invest my time, I invest my effort along my intentions. I don't waste my time. I
Mhm.
think that time is very precious. I think that
Mhm.
we need to honor ourselves. We need to honor our
Mhm.
bodies, our minds enough to understand when to say no. Because I think
Mhm.
it's very, very important to say no. And I say no more than I say yes. And it keeps me peaceful. It keeps me
Mhm.
happy. I can smile. I can do the things I want without shame or guilt. But I needed to understand that, for me, I used to be a people pleaser for a very, very long time. I didn't
Mhm.
even know I was until I started coaching, until I started meditation. That's when I started
Mhm.
to realize some of these hidden beliefs, hidden.
Mhm.
Because a lot of
Mhm.
times we don't know they're there. We're acting out of an unconscious space.
Yeah.
So it's been a work in progress, and it's an ongoing thing. Transformation
Mhm.
never ends.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's so important, and especially creating that mindset and inspiring others while, we can say transforming ourselves. It is such an honorable
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
So in the same way, like when you're talking about your while rewiring or transforming ourselves, and same time helping others or creating a better definition for others as well. Any particular client or work or any particular story which you feel you would like to bring to our audience, which can inspire and motivate to them?
yeah. There are several actually. I don't typically name names because
No,
I
no,
think
just
it's.
like
But
not
yeah,
particular name, but
so
just like yeah.
yeah, but what I will bring to mind is, without exception, with all my clients that
Mm-hmm.
I have been working with and do work with even now,
Mm-hmm.
one thing is very interesting. A lot of times the mind is like a monkey, right? Mind is always looking out for a how. The how
Mm-hmm.
question comes from the mind or from the ego, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
way to distract
Mm-hmm.
you from doing the work. And
Mm-hmm.
doing the work is really where your spirit comes from. So something that I usually tell clients, and they always, without exception, I'm remembering all my clients as I'm telling you this. They
Mm-hmm.
come back and tell me, you were right, you were right about it. is
Mm,
this.
mm,
You know, whatever practice I have facilitated, and if you're
mhm,
watching in and you have practices to help ground you, to help
mhm,
set you free, to help build a mindset of resourcefulness,
mhm,
practice with earnestness and with
mm,
sincerity.
mm,
When you do this, when you're dedicated to your practices, no matter what
mhm,
you're doing, whether it's meditation, whether it is, you know,
mhm,
a mindful walk, whether it is journaling, there are
mm,
so many ways that we heal. We don't heal in one way.
right.
Do it consistently. Be
Mm,
consistent.
mm,
Be sincere,
mm,
because you know, you don't we don't know everything about ourselves. We don't.
yeah. Mhm,
And I tell all my clients this, and you won't believe. Like, I
mm,
usually do coaching, my one-on-one especially, the group
mhm,
also, but mostly the one-on-one,
mhm,
which I also enjoy. Within the first month, if it's a 3 month or a
mhm,
6 month, within the first month, they start to
mhm,
see huge shifts with their relationships. They
right.
start to see huge shifts with the way things, it might be with the same person, but something
Right.
is shifting positively. And then they
Mhm,
come back and say, how is this happening? What's
mm,
going on? For
wow.
years, like I
Mhm,
now when you ask me, I'm thinking of a particular client.
mhm,
So, you know, her mom had left her as a child, a little girl,
mm,
and
mhm,
had left the country. So
mm,
she has grown up with just her father and her
mm,
grandmother, and
mm,
never had a mother figure in her life.
mm,
And
mhm,
owing to that, she's had a lot of issues in her life, right from her personal relationships to, you know, the kind of work that she was in, her role, her boss,
mhm,
her peers,
mhm,
so many things.
right.
And you know, in the first month itself, her mom had contacted her, and let me tell you, a lot of this is spiritual as well. There is a
Mm,
spiritual element to it.
mm,
And they actually had a face-to-face conversation that she has
mhm,
never had in years.
wow.
And after 3 months, yeah,
Mm,
and after 3 months of, you know, working with her, she told me honestly that being in this program felt like being in a washing machine. It was the hardest, most
mhm,
difficult point, because I was pushed to do
mhm,
things
mhm,
that I have been afraid to do. But
mm,
I actually reconciled with my
mm,
mom, who I've
wow.
never met face to face.
Mm,
And I have been able to, you know, the courage that she is demonstrating with her boss is phenomenal.
mm, mm,
And this is just one example to show you watching
yeah,
in that
yeah.
you can do it. It's a
Mm,
possibility.
yeah.
You really need the right tools, you need the right
Mhm,
practices, and
yeah.
sometimes you also need a good guide, someone to support you compassionately, because there will be times you will ask yourself, am I doing the right thing?
Mm,
And a good coach will tell you, you got to keep going. It's hard,
yeah.
but you have to keep pushing forward.
Really encouraging and inspiring story. And thank you so much, Carolina, to bring it on this platform. And I just would like to talk about becoming you, what it is all about. What is
Thank
becoming?
you. Thank you for the opportunity. So this book took about a year through COVID to write and to put together, Becoming You: Stories of Courage and Vulnerability. I decided to write this book maybe about
Mhm.
15 years back, but never did it.
Oh,
And then
wow.
suddenly, 2 or 3 months before COVID broke out, I said, this is it. I'm going to start writing my book. And when I
Mm,
wrote it, I started to realize that because I'm such a huge advocate of inclusion,
mm,
through the lens of diversity, through
yeah.
respect of
Mm,
everyone has a perspective, right?
yeah.
I decided to open it up to my network. So I have a fairly big, large network on LinkedIn. And so I invited 5 other individuals from
Mm,
5 different countries
mm,
to join me to lead and to
mm,
share their vulnerability, share their courage. So in this book, if you decide to pick it up, can expect. It's not a self-help book. It's not like, 3 different ways to succeed or 10 different ways to do XYZ. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's our honesty, it's our heart that we pour into this book to let you
Mm-hmm.
know, one, that you're not alone. If you are struggling in some area of your life, know
Mm-hmm.
that you're not alone. The second
Mm-hmm.
thing is that if you are struggling, maybe you have failed, maybe you have experienced some setback and you're feeling lonely, you're feeling discouraged, you're feeling like, no one will
Mm-hmm.
understand you. Know that with the right support system, with the right
Mm-hmm.
tools, with the right resources, you
Yeah.
can push yourself forward.
Mm.
And lastly, the backstory to this book has been bringing together 5 diverse humans with 5 different powerful stories of success, of failure, of different things that did not work out for us. But through
Mm.
all of it, we realized it's okay. That's part of being human. But that should
Yeah.
not discourage you to stop.
Mm.
No.
Yeah.
Life is all about these ups and downs, and that is how we grow, that is how we evolve. So
Yeah.
that's
That's
really what the book is all about.
mm-hmm.
And 2021, what we are doing now is
Mm-hmm.
everyone who has started to read the book, we have opened up the conversation, and once a month, we invite our readers in and we start to have a conversation on Zoom, just like this, to find
Mm-hmm.
out what
Mm-hmm.
from our stories has encouraged you to take
Right.
action in your life. How
Mm.
are you taking your story forward as a result of this book, as a result of our stories?
Yeah, that's empowering, and I think that's powerful to bring those real life and real action. That's really becoming you. It's totally create the same way the book. I think the purpose you took for writing it to create the power or the wave around the people. That's simply powerful. And so, before finishing out this Women Dialogue episode, would you like to share something else to our viewers?
Never give up. Your life is precious. You are, I think it was a guru or a priest that used this quote. And I'll say it on behalf of myself, and I would encourage all of you watching in to say it on behalf of yourself. I am the way that the stars shine back their light. I am the way that the stars shine back their light. So you are a light at your very basic core. Your soul shines through. So no matter
Yeah,
what life experiences bring you down, maybe some expectations, things, disappointments, heart failures, and all these other things that come in the way, it's
yeah.
okay. Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
You can recreate your story
Yeah,
and be happy. You have a
yeah.
right to experience happiness.
Yes, yeah. That's true. Never give up. Never give up. Keep going and keep yourself happy. It is so important. I'm really into that feeling. That's amazing. So, and why do you think Women Dialogue, like such kind of platform we are together today, are important?
Why is it important? Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking why do you think the platform like this, Women Dialogue, is important?
Like I said earlier in this conversation, for us women, and it's not just one region, I see this in my networks across different countries.
Yeah.
We sell ourselves short.
Mm-hmm.
We very often we don't have faith in ourselves. We
Mm.
look to others to tell us what to do.
Mm.
We sometimes, like, I had a split. For me, in
Mm.
my work, I felt powerful. In my personal life, I felt powerless. So I
Mm.
would never take decisions in my personal life,
Mm.
even though I was managing a team at work.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So, I believe that, it's platforms like yours and the work that I'm doing and several others around this space. is to honor who we are. We are beautiful human beings with a free spirit and intelligence enough to grow, develop, evolve. But we have to make the commitment to do that. And it's when we talk like this, when we hear other people's stories, other women who have maybe gone through things or have a certain journey, have a certain story, we feel inspired. If you've lost hope, you know that don't lose hope. It's when you listen to other people's stories, you know that you can do it too. So if you're watching in, know that you can do it too. I really want to thank you, Dr. Shashi, for everything that you do. I feel your heart, and I'm so happy to share space with you today.
I'm so grateful. I'm so empowered, and it's my honor to be with you on this platform today. And once again, thank you so much for being with us on Women Dialogue. Thank you,
Thank you.
Caroline.
God bless you.
And that's it for today's episode. And thank you so much to all viewers. For more details, please check the description below. And if you would like to get a dose of motivation and inspiration, please find the details about Carolina in description as well. And thank you.